much what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a short introduction, show you what it would be like if you were the student, and then what the experts say. I did a little bit of research on it, and then what I've done and what I found. I started Flip Classroom last year, and this is my second year of it, so I worked out some kinks throughout the summer. And then how you could do it for free. I don't have any, I'm not with any company, I don't sell anything. I just have found free stuff online that I can show you how to use. And I use an iPad or a laptop, so anything you have, you can use it different ways. Who I am, I work in Spotsylvania County, and I teach 8th grade science, and this is my 8th year teaching. Pretty much the way I got the Flip Classroom is I was in my executive EDD program at William & Mary, and I was in my instruction class in curriculum. And it was brought to my attention, a short presentation, like 30 minutes on Flip Classroom and why it's helpful. And pretty much from there, I took what I learned and did my own research and figured out how I would do it myself. So as a student, what would happen if you had the internet? This is what you could do. But what I did is I made a blog spot on Blogger, which goes with Google, and it's a free website. So what happens if you were the student, you would go to my website, and on the side I have all the topics listed by standards. And so today I was going to have you all log on and do this, but the internet's down, so we can't. So what you would do is you would go on to the website and you would check out, you would click on whatever one I told you to click on. So for our purpose, we're going to do 7s, and say you would watch the temperature video. And I was going to have everyone watch a temperature video in here. And what happens while you're watching the video looks like this, which I can show you too later on. You would fill out these notes. So as a student, you would come in, I would give your assignment and say, go watch this video, here's your notes, go home, fill it out, and watch the video, and bring it back to class next day. I was going to have us do that, but the internet not being available doesn't help. So that's what you would do as a student. And then when you come back to class the next day, or you come in today, you could either check everyone's notes, make sure they're done. You could do a think, pair, share, where the kids can talk about what they saw. Maybe make sure if they missed something, they could fill it in. You could do a graphic organizer, maybe list stuff on the board, separate keywords from the notes that we took. And then, or you could do a pre-task and give them a quiz when they came to class. And that's what you would feel as a student. So what a flipped classroom is. So a flipped classroom is basically taking everything you do for direct instruction and putting it outside your classroom. So instead of taking notes in my class, which I hated doing all the time, because I had some kids who were slow, some kids who were fast, different level. And it was such a pain to take notes, and I hated it beyond belief. So a flipped classroom is taking that part of your lesson and putting it at home. So it's the homework, and then the homework comes into your classroom. So the practice problems if you teach math. We were going over density, so they learned density at home, but then when they came to class, we did density problems. So it's basically using technology at home, watching the videos, and bringing it to class. So there's a great website, and I put this all in Edmodo, this presentation, so if you want to look at it later. But it also talks about the flipped classroom and what it is. And it goes through the steps and how they came up with it, and who came up with it, and how it's working in different areas. So things I found, research I found, and in Detroit, outside Detroit, there was a high school that actually flipped their entire high school. And 75% were low-income minority students. And these are the things that they found when they flipped it. They found that 33% of the freshman failure rate dropped. They found that the number of discipline referrals went down, and that graduation, attendance, and test scores increased. And their parent complaints dropped because of all of that pretty much, which is a big deal. So what they're saying is that because they're doing this, the students are more engaged. Because instead of taking notes in class where you might have distractions and disruptions, they're actually doing activities and learning stuff. So for instance, in my room, the same thing happens. I haven't sent a kid to our timeout or ISS all year. I've never had to write a referral this year at all, which I didn't have too much discipline before, but this changes it completely because the students are always actively engaged in my class. They're always working on a project or activity, or they're doing things together with a group. They're never sitting still taking notes or waiting and stopping and going. So that's one instance. Colleges and universities are doing this as well. They like the fact that instead of sitting in a lecture hall and kids are just there and just trying to listen, they can learn other things from each other. And so what they're doing in colleges as well, you're watching a lecture and then you come to class and do activities together. one of my classes that I just took was like this. We watched the lecture, and then we were sent out in the world to do stuff and come back and talk about it. And also, this bottom parts I like as well, as students' misconceptions are corrected. So my students watch my videos, and as they're going, they can start and stop it. So if they miss something or mishear something, they go back and revisit it and make sure they get it right. And it's not learning it and then their misconception, and then they have that for a few days later on until you fix it, or until they take a test. Another research that I found that said there's not much out there about flipped classrooms yet. Everyone's doing it, but no one's really knowing how it's helping or not. Out of 453 teachers who flipped their classroom, they saw increased test scores, and they had better student attitudes, and they would do it again. So that was a big thing that I noticed too. So what my class looks like and my results. So last year I did flipped classroom, but I did it a little differently. So I started out just having kids watch videos, and they weren't my videos. I was just finding videos on YouTube and adding them to my blog page. And those kids would watch them, come in, and I'd give them a little pretest. And this year, I make my own videos that the kids watch. So I kind of transitioned that. To start, it's easier just to find someone else's videos, and then work on your own eventually. We had 2 other teachers in my building that started the same way. They found videos, and now they're starting to make their own videos. So what I do, before class, I create my videos. And I usually create them a month in advance. So when I was stuck in Richmond Sunday night, I made January's videos, because it takes maybe a half hour if you make short videos. And then for homework, they watch the videos. And then what I do is I give them a nice little calendar of when to watch the videos. So if they watch the videos this night, they know it's do this step that I'm going to talk about it. And that kind of keeps them formatted. The next thing I want to get to is like a Google Calendar, so my kids could keep that on there and keep it updated. But so they have a packet of notes attached to that calendar, and the notes just follow for the month. And they just get a packet before the month begins, and that's what they go and watch. And they know to work in advance. And they can work ahead, or they can work slowly, but they know that by that day they should have watched that video.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are you working towards getting them to create their own notes? Seems very labor intensive to like create
Right.
the outlines for them.
The thing with my classes right now is I teach inclusion. And so like for those kids, we have guided notes, and so everyone gets guided notes so no one feels different.
Right.
But we have, to reduce time that my special ed kids have to watch videos, we filled in the notes and I highlight. For my advanced kids, I want to get to that where they do take their own notes, but I haven't got stuff on notes. It's kind of, you have to teach them how to do it too. But it's a possibility. I know high schools could do that. Good question. So in class, they come and ask me for help. The other way I've been using this is after assessment. So we take a test. And I take the test and I break it down by topics. And I say, oh, this topic was periodic table. And these questions go with it. And you missed these questions, so go back and watch this video again and answer the questions again. So that's another way you can use it, remediation. And another teacher that I work with, he actually uses the same thing where even though he teaches his class with in-class notes, for remediation, he uses my videos. And so the kids, because we have common assessments, and so the kids in his classroom also get to use my videos as well, because they learn from a different teacher. So you could also do it that way as another way. And for kids who want to go ahead, work ahead, and learn the topic. So even though you give them a snapshot of a topic, and they want to keep learning more, they can continually watch more videos and go forward. And I try to do a month in advance so they can do that. Or they can plan for when they're on a trip somewhere, they can watch ahead. So what happens if they don't watch the video? So the first quarter that I had this year, I got my test scores back and they were still the same as last year. And I was like, what is happening to these kids? They have flipped classroom, we're doing all these activities in class. And some of my kids weren't watching it because they didn't understand how to do it. So I had to go back and reteach them how to use the videos and take the notes and so forth. But the thing that I noticed is that with all the engagement we had, they were still learning without me ever teaching them direct instruction. They still learned the content somehow in my class without doing the notes. So if they did the notes, and I had a student who did the notes and did all activities, and on those pre-tests he got a 10%, he had a 70% after on the post-test. So that was a huge increase. So, and he's not a student that would typically have a 70%. So what I tried to show the students was that if you did this notes and did what we did in class, your scores would be even higher than they are now. So that's something. I also did a thing where I checked the notes, and then if you didn't have your notes done, you got a laptop and you started doing your notes. And then you couldn't do that activity until you finished your notes. So you couldn't move on, basically. You had them in a holding. That was another thing I did. Questions? Yes?
What do you do for kids who don't have internet access at home?
Well, that was something we thought about because I'm at a school that has 40% economically disadvantaged students. So what we do is we have, or at lunchtime, they can come watch me in my room because I have laptops in my room. All of our teachers do have 5 laptops in their room. So if they get done early, they could watch it in another class. We have a study hall per se in our school. They can do it during then, after school, before school, just to make it available. If they get done with assignments early in my class, they can go watch it, or with tests. That's why I try to work ahead. I was surprised because you can also, the way that I set it up on Blogger, you can use your phone, like an Android or an iPhone, your tablet, or your laptop. And I surveyed my kids at the beginning of the year, which I'll show you, just to see how many kids actually had internet access. We do have a local library they go to as well, that they can access the internet.
See, a lot of people burn DVDs and pen drive as well. And
Right.
They just have like a class set of that pen drive, the kids know to check it out.
Right, that's another way to do it. We talked about that too, like sending out CDs. So what, also with the findings, when they come to class information, they ask questions or practice content. When I do a warm-up, we kind of do a graphic organizer and ask you what they were supposed to watch the videos on, and you can tell the kids they understand the material about it because when we try to put it in examples, for instance, I did bonding last week. So they came with the bonding text version, and I taught them the bonding fun version. So I talked about how ionic bonding is like dating. You have like a male and a female because you have a metal and a non-metal, and you put them together to get something. And then you have covalent, and it's 2 females because they're sharing, because they share electrons. So we come up with different strategies in class to talk about how to relate the information from home. So what happens is, not only do the kids get the information twice, they get it in a different way. And what I noticed, because I know what's in those videos, I have to find something different to tell them when they come to class. So I actually become a better teacher for this year because I have to figure out another way to teach it, or another way to show them in class. And I have to come up with more activities and more hands-on stuff. So that's what I've noticed too. There's less class distractions. I don't have much downtime in my room now because I'm not doing notes. And that was a huge chunk of time that I had set aside for notes that I now have back in my room to practice or do activities or do something that relates to it. We did robotics this year. I've never been able to do robotics in my classroom ever because it's taken that time away from them. Less confusion at home. I don't have trouble with parents calling me and saying, my kid has bad homework grade, because there's hardly a homework grade because they just watch these videos. And you might give them a point or two if it's done, but they need to know that knowledge for class. And their grades might be affected if they don't know the knowledge, but there's a way for parents not to have to be sitting there confused with their homework. So if a parent doesn't know about bonding, I'm not going to send home bonding worksheets for that parent not to understand and kind of help their kid. Instead, they just turn on the video and that's all they have to do. More time in class, which I talked about. More time to practice. Questions? I talk a little fast, so. So what did I find this year and last year? So I did pre-surveys, and every quarter I surveyed my kids just to make sure I know that I'm on my point. And they have some very good input and they like to have feedback for me. So when I did the computers at home, 79% said yes and 13% said sometimes. So for a school that has a high ratio of students who are socially economically disadvantaged, that's a big deal. Same with the internet. I asked them what they wanted for their homework, whether watching videos, worksheets, what helps them. And they said videos, of course, because it's easier. And they like labs and activities are the best way to learn. So when I looked at the first quarter about who watched the videos, my advanced kids surely do all the time. But even my regular and inclusion kids, I had 84% of students watching those videos, which is a big deal. And if they found it helpful, 90% agreed, and my inclusion and regular was 83%. Questions on them?
What does sometimes internet mean?
Like, it can go, depending on the situation, some of our kids move around a lot. So sometimes they might be in a home where there is internet, and sometimes they might, or if they have 2 houses with their 2 different parents. That's why I put that in. That's important too, because just to say yes or no, you know, they kind of didn't know what to pick. So, and I asked questions on here as well, like, was it easy to access? Are they easy to find? Put in suggestions or input. Like the first quarter, I didn't check their notes at all. So I just thought, okay, this will be easy. So then the students were like, we want you to check them because we know that we're not doing it. If you checked it, it would hold me accountable. So I was like, okay. I was like, that's great. I was like, we'll go around and check them now. So I went around and started checking. Like other kids were like, we didn't say this. Why did you start doing this? And I'm like, well, some of you want me to check them. So now I started checking them. They also said that I was very monotone in my videos, so they want me to be more excited when I'm presenting. So I was like, so I'll put on a show at home now. And so the videos that I'm taping now, I try to put more tone and excitement into it because they said that was another thing they didn't like. And they like doing the more activities and hands-on. They feel like they're learning more because of it. So, any questions? Okay. So again, improve student-teacher interaction. I actually had a video that I made, which I'll show you the website later. I actually had one of my students leave a comment, and I didn't even know you could comment on it. And it was amazing. So now my students can comment on my videos, and it sends it to my email, and I can have instant feedback with them. One of my students was like, I don't understand this. And he sent it in an email to my droid. And so I was able to email him right back away on the website that I use and instantly give him feedback. So he was not confused anymore. Those are all the other findings. So I also asked the students about what they liked about it and what not. So one of my students said they liked the notes at home because he thought homework was a waste of time unless it's studying. And then they liked the fact that it was me. So when I transferred to videos from other people to me, it was more personable. And it was me talking. And they liked that you could go back. So there's a whole video case of video case I have online from the first day till now. So they can always go back if they missed something. And then at the end of the year, last year I did videos too, but it was using my laptop. And last year we reviewed for the SOL about that. And I taped 6th and 7th grade SOLs because I teach 8th grade science, you have 6th through 8th grade. So they could always go back and check the ones they needed. It's not, you're gearing it towards the student more and not just saying as the class. And they do their own that they need to do. So possible ways to do this. Okay, so Blogger is what I use, or you can use Google Sites. I did a pilot program with Cisco and Biopta, that's why it's on there, but we were in a program with them. But Blogger is the key one that I use because it goes with my email. How you can make it work. So I have a smartboard in my room. You have a smartboard. You can tape yourself on a smartboard and post it. You can post it on YouTube, maybe a drive you have at school as well. I used a webcam to do videos I did last year. And I literally had a whiteboard, like a small whiteboard on the wall. And I handwrote it and taped it with angling my video camera down so you could see me writing when I talked. And that's how I did. That's like very old school method, I guess. You can do it at home with my iPad, which I do now. And I'll show you some free apps for that. Again, you can use Windows Movie Maker, YouTube. If you have privacy settings, you can email them to students. It depends on how your school works. So these are some iPad programs, and I can leave this up there for a minute, that I found that are free. I used ScreenChomp, and what happens is it links to the site. So for instance, let me show you on my iPad. So I have oh gosh, okay. Now it doesn't work. Okay, well the other ones are called, the B context is the one I use now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How do I get this to go up? I just need to go up a little. How do you get the volume thing to come on? Just go like this thing. Oh, here it is.
Do you post your videos on YouTube? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't, but you could. I don't know why it's not working now. Okay, anyways, I'll figure it out. It's on here. That's the one I want to know. It worked earlier. Yeah. You know, we're doing this with airplay here. I don't know why. Anyway, okay. So these are the ones I use. The B context is the one that looks like up here. I was going to show you my No, it's in the B context. So it looks like this is the website I use, and then these are the comments on here. And once you make the video on your iPad, it sends you email yourself the link. So there's on that website that has all your videos on it. They're not organized at all. I just link them on the page. So what it looks like is here. So these are just all the links I have for the V context page. It's kind of disorganized, but I'm working on trying to make it better. But it's a free thing, so that's why I used it. Oh, there it is. Perfect. That's exactly what I want to use. Thank you. Okay. So the one I use is this one. Okay, so this is the one I've been using a lot, and I think it's helpful because you can also take from your Dropbox and pull in a PowerPoint. So sometimes I use a PowerPoint for that as well. So here's all the videos I've made. So some of them I've used for PowerPoint, like this one. And you can highlight on this. There's highlighting features on this. You can, I don't have the volume up because I don't like hearing my voice, but you can highlight, you can circle, you can draw, but you can download that PowerPoint and use that to make your video and just go through it, which is really easy. It takes a few minutes. Or you can go back and you can make your own. And it has templates to use as well. You can write out your notes that way if you want.
Which one works the most fluidly with that Blogger?
With Blogger, either the screenshot or the V context that I
Do you
use.
have a preference?
I like this one just because the PowerPoints can go in it, the V context. The screenshot, it just looks like this one. It just looks like a whiteboard and you just fill it in. The V context, you have free to a point. Like all of a sudden it was like, you're full. So I had to go in and I think it's $5 a month for more. But like I said, it's free to a point. And if you use both of these, you could pretty much be free for a while. So, and once you make them, you have them forever. It's all of them. But screenshot's the other one I use. I've tried a bunch of them. There's a bunch out there. You just have to try to see which one you like best. I've heard of that one. I haven't tried it though.
It's on your list.
It's on my, yeah, I think, well, like I tried that once. It was like a lot, it was like this past summer when I tried it once. Those are just ones, Puppet Pals, I made a puppet show once. It's not what I use in class, but I've tried it. These are just some other ones that I found. They said to use online. So how much time does it take? The website was the longest thing to come up with in updating it. The video link, I tried 2 different video links. I tried really short, and then I tried 20 minutes. So my students, when I thought, oh, I'll just make 2 videos for the month and make them 20 minutes, and they're like, we hate that. They're like, that's too long. So now I just make them between like 3 to like 8 minutes, and that's all they take. They don't like them much longer than that. Corporation to class. If also substitute plans. You don't lose instruction time. If you're out, you could say, go to these videos and watch the videos. And instead of the sub teaching and this doing it, you keep doing it. These are other websites I found. Khan does this pretty much. The thing that kids don't like about Khan is it's very monotonous too, and it's not personable. Brightstorm has some websites on where they have people doing a whiteboard. The BBC actually is a little bit interactive. It's little elementary, middle school. That's another website I like. TED has stuff on it. And the flipped learning is great information on the website. Okay, so questions, comments. Questions, ideas that people have shared that before too. Or yes. Go ahead.
I use Explain Everything. It costs like $3, but you can like bring up like Word documents and record you writing on it and like talking.
Okay, explain everything. That's a good one.
I got it.
Okay.
Are you going to post this on the Edmodo?
It is on my website. The PowerPoint's on there, and I posted the link to my blog, and I posted a draft of the notes that I give out with the calendar. Are there questions?
Do you do any like video of like you on the video, or is it always just your voice?
I do my voice, but that's because of like privacy things. I don't want people seeing me. They say some of the things I've read online said that kids like it when they see you better and you're on there talking to them. And I know some teachers do that. It's just that's my personal preference. Yes.
Have you had when students do projects and say differentiated group projects, they may use the site themselves for video to demonstrate concept learning?
Yeah, they do. I know that one teacher in our building, she's doing a flipped classroom and she does stations, and that's like one of their stations, and then they have to do other activities that involve that topic. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I like it, yeah.
Yeah. So that's another way. And that combats like not having a computer at home or the internet.
From your calendar, do you do a video like every other night and they have like 2 days to watch it?
Yeah, pretty much. Because we're on an AB schedule, so we have 4 classes one day and then 4 classes next day, and it goes every other day. So they have 2 days to kind of watch it. I got a little behind with my topics, so they have more than a few days. But yeah. Other questions?
I found out that when I first started doing it, that trying to make the videos was overwhelming, so I stole videos from everybody. And one of them that I liked was Sophia.org.
Sophia.org.
Because it has, at the top, I found out, I asked my students at first questions, not about what they learned, about what the process.
Right.
And they would go, because there's extra videos they show at the top, and they go to all those and watch them.
Right.
And then there's a 3-question test that they give you.
What is it called?
Sophia.org. So, but some of the videos aren't that great, so you
Right.
kind of go through. And they've actually told me, oh, that one was wrong, and I didn't realize that but that
Right.
showed me they were watching it.
Yeah, and the hard part is some of the videos are geared towards different states' curriculum, so that's the other thing you have to really watch too. Or for my class, because I do a little bit of chemistry and physics, because I'm 8th grade, I have to make sure they're not too advanced for those kids if I pull some. But I do pull on the website, my blog, I put like songs and like cartoons that are like extra help. And I also put, I make it, the top part, I put the videos that they're supposed to watch, and I put like some questions to think about, and then I'll put like practice sites, like other sites like that have videos that are linked to it, and I just kind of put something for extended learning, so if my advanced kids really want to go further on that too. So I try to add a bunch, but.
You're an 8th grade teacher, and I know you just started doing this, but have you seen anything with student achievement, SOLs? I'm sorry you mentioned SOLs or.
No, well, last year since I just started it, we started it halfway through the year, so it's hard to tell. And plus, the 8th grade science test changed last year, so we got a little bit harder. But the thing I noticed though is that the fact that I'm not teaching in class and the kids who might not watch the videos all the right time, they still get it and they still are changing their scores. And what I noticed is now that I'm doing a pre and post test, because we have to do that, that you can see the difference, and the guy that's teaching next to me is not doing it, and his scores are a little bit lower. But my 6th grade science teacher, she's doing this, and her scores, she said, are higher than they've been the past years when she does this. And it's amazing because she said her average used to be like lower, like into the 60s. Well, now it's like up and towards a B, like hers like high 70s, low 80s. So that's, I mean,
Early but positive.
it's early, right? And there's not much research on this. I want to do this as my dissertation, and they're like, no. They're like, there's not much out there to back it up yet, so you can't do that. And it's not necessarily an instructional strategy. It's just a tool. You can do direct instruction or how you teach on here. It's just a tool to use for it.
When you do like an 8-minute video, I know it's more condensed than class notes, but do you feel you can still teach everything you need to teach just in that short video?
Yes, I do. And the reason I do is because I'm not stopping for kids to ask me to go to the bathroom. Or I'm not being interrupted by the intercom being like, will you send Johnny down to get his Gatorade from the front office or something? And that's why, because there's no stopping out of the situation. So.
And
Go ahead.
do you still have to teach, like how do you still teach something to class? Or?
I do a lot of graphic organizers, so I do a lot of like comparing or like Venn diagrams. It only takes about 5 or 6 minutes as long as everyone's on the same page. And I only pull the most important stuff that I know will be on SOL. All that other junk that I might say in the video, I just pull down what's very, very important. So, other questions?
At an elementary school level, and I'm not in the classroom, I guess I'm IT artist, CRS and our school division, what would be like so teachers are teaching every subject.
Right.
Trying to make a video for every subject would be kind of overwhelming.
Right.
So can you give me like a top 5 things that I could say to a teacher to try to sell this to a teacher?
Well, like what you could do is you could even do like, they teach 5 subjects or 4 subjects. You could do like just one, like the Monday watch the math one. Maybe Tuesday nights do that. And if they got together with their other people, if there's more than one second grade teacher and there's another one, have one person take the math one, one person take the English. And then you're cutting down the workload too.
And I would say too, as an elementary teacher, history and science. Because we're always pushing math and reading, and that's big, and you never have enough time in the day to do history and science. So I can see where this would be used to, you know, because a lot of times I hear my teachers say, I have 40 minutes to teach history. And second graders are learning about China and Egypt. So this would be a great way to push those as well so that you can get them.
And then after you have your
Could you do one subject at a time?
You could. I mean, it's however you want to do it. I'm just showing you what I did to try to do something.
I'm a K-12 instructional supervisor of science, and I teach science because we teach people how to make. But if you could combine also talking to them about doing the cross-curriculum sort of thing, do a lesson that is science and history, or English and math, or something like that.
What the lower grades, the content is fused into K1 is fused into the language arts.
Right.
But then once you get to the second, third, fourth,
Right.
that's when it becomes a separate entity.
Then you can get them to try to start thinking about cross-curricular, and that will help the kids.
And even station too. I know that one of our teachers does that station just because then it gives her time to work with her lower level students. And like, you know, she can accelerate some work is on a different topic. So, questions, other ideas people have used? If you go out, a lot of people are using videos and stuff. I noticed what we did in our county is we made up, people were doing it, but no one knew who was doing it. So we made up like a PLC, and we sent out all emails to our whole county. It was like, listen, this is what we're doing here. Like, what are you doing? And we actually had about 10 people come together. And when you start talking to people that are doing it, there's other ideas you come up with. Like, I didn't even think about, you know, maybe using different like type of places or using so I didn't hear about Sophia. So there's other ways to think of it.
We use Screencast-matic, if you've heard of that, and it's basically whatever you have on your computer, you're just taping that, and you just talk to a mic, you know.
Yeah.
So I'll just pull my PowerPoint up and just go like right through it like I would in class.
What's that called?
Screencast-matic.
Is that free?
Yes.
If y'all want a quick, short read, Flip Your Classroom and John Boone.
Yeah.
Read it really, really short. Guys in Colorado that kind of started this years
They
ago.
started the whole thing.
Yeah, they kind of give you the whole process. It's a 3-year transition, sometimes 5-year deal. It takes some time, but kind of what they went through and what they saw the kids, and those that were kind of asking what it turned into our test scores and that, they talk a lot about it, and they were really the guys that push it. It's a really, really short read. Flipping Your Classroom, reaching every kid in every class every day. They've gotten to the point they actually have gone further since they're about 7 years in, and they go to more of a flipped mastery system, which is taking this to a whole other level where kids can be at any level they want. They almost treat their classroom like a game, and the kids pass the chapters or units like levels in the game. And they have to prove they master it through not just normal assessments, and it's a great read. I mean, real short. It's a good
John
Bergman, yeah, and he has another guy that he's kind of the leader.
Yeah.
He's a partner that they both, and they talk about kind of, you were saying, the team teaching.
Mm-hmm.
They got to that point where they had so many videos they wanted to make, they knew they couldn't do it fast enough. So they teamed up, and the kids in the 2 separate classes felt like each teacher was their teacher. Because one would do the videos, they started doing videos together. They talk about a lot of little things, and it's
And I heard of like teachers who, one teacher played the student, one teacher played the adult in the video, and then asked questions too. That was another one.
There's a product called Swivel. I don't know if you ever heard it. It's like almost like a little tripod almost. Right now they just make it big enough for an iPhone or like an iPad Touch and a Mini. They're supposed to be coming out with one for an iPad. You put your iPad in, you wear a lanyard, and it follows you around wherever you're going. So if you were making videos, now it costs like $200, so it's a little pricey. But anywhere you go, you can walk a complete circle, and it will follow you around your iPad or iPhone, whatever you're using to record it, and it's an app you download, and it records your video for you, and then you can use it what you want.
Any other?
I have two questions. One is, when it comes to your evaluation and the principal comes in to see what you're doing and you're not doing direct instruction and they've got this checklist they're looking for things you're supposed to do,
We don't.
is that a problem?
Well, we don't really have that at our school. They kind of got away from that, and we kind of do, we do SMART goals, and you set your own goal, and you have to prove that you did it right. So this kind of leans to that. My principals, I do have very supportive principals, and I even had 2 different ones in the past 2 years, and 2 different assistants in the past 2 years. So, and the county is very supportive. I will say that my county is very supportive of me. When I came and said I want to do this, they kind of looked at me like I was crazy, but I was like, no, go out and look. And I think that was the biggest thing. Once they see like what people have done with it and what good things that have happened with it, I think that's the big thing. Was that your first question?
Can you give a sample you could show us?
Oh, the videos? Yeah.
I think you're starting to see administrators as well look for student-centered
But
learning.
I realize they'd be aware of what.
And maybe with time, you're going to see less and less of
They
it.
walk into this forum.
Right. I have teachers now that will say that they got evaluated poorly because they just had the direct instruction classroom.
And then I just chose.
Where you would have seen that 5 years ago.
But you are doing direct instruction.
Yeah.
You're just not doing it in your classroom.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, this has been around long. Go home, read the chapter
Yeah,
tomorrow,
it's
we'll
like-
read questions. It's been going on for years.
It has. So here's one. I'm gonna do that.
Something I like about Edge Creations is when you record, you mess up and you want to back up, you can't.
You can.
With B contacts, if you mess up in something.
Oh, that's the other thing. You have no, you can't. It's not an edit because the free version you can't. That was the problem. But I make them so. I don't know if like there's like another version to like.
Well, you know, word to the wise, the way around that I found was to make my what I was recording in small snippets, just constantly hit the pause and always like it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I like. My cell phone will ring, so I'll be like pause and then I'll answer my call. Or like you'll hear someone in the background say something like, "Oh my gosh," so I'll pause it and go back.
You know, I heard in some place where kids actually kind of think it's cool or it's fine if you mess up during it and you stammer and stumble once in a while.
Right.
It's not the end of the world.
It's authentic.
Yeah, it's very
That's
much
what you do in class.
Right, because they'll hear a beep in my classroom and they're like, "Oh, that's the same beep on the video." So like, I wonder what that is. I was like, so that's pretty much what I do. Any other questions?
over top.
I'm talking over top of it. I just don't like to hear my voice. And I've had students, so that's the only thing. Alyssa, the first day I did it, they all pulled their laptops up and started it, and all of a sudden you heard my voice over. I was like, oh my gosh, we're in headphones. So now I went to if you go to the Dollar Tree or the dollar store, you can get $1 headphones, and literally just 5-30 of them, and they're good. As long as you clean them very well. But the kids know to clean them, so.
There were some, I went to a presentation yesterday, there were some apps that you could actually type your message in and they recognize the voice before you
Yeah.
like a British accent or something.
Yeah.
So maybe you should,
So,
you don't like your voice.
right.
One thing that I've used to put all of our videos on YouTube is video notes, because it allows you to have the kids, well, I teach high school, so they take their own notes, it allows
Right.
them to type notes, and then it saves to their video drive.
Okay. Other things?
Oh.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you create like a script for yourself, or you don't read straight from the PowerPoint?
No, I've kind of taught the same thing for 8 years, so I kind of like know, and my PowerPoints are very similar. That's the one thing that I know that next year, I might go back and redo them, because this year I was doing it at the time, I just kept using the same PowerPoints I've always used, so there's errors in some of them, which I catch, which I fix on there. But once I finish, like, my class is at next year with my doctorate, so once I finish that, I'm like, then I can go back and fix them to make them nice, so.
So this is a PowerPoint, you're going through slides and just writing on.
Yeah, pretty much that's all I'm doing, yeah.
I thought, because I teach math, sometimes it's hard to use the stylus on the iPads and try to record it that way. So if you have a smart board, you can just use a screen recorder, and then you have like a big giant screen to work with.
Or I've heard of document cameras too, they just tape in their hands, let their hands tape. Anything else? Thank you all so much for coming. I was so worried people were gonna walk out if there's not time together. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can more than welcome email me or like Emoto me or whatever you wanna do. So, thank you very much. Have a lovely day.